first guest for the second half is someone who is not a stranger to doing PechaKucha. And if you get on our webpage, you will see a 6-minute and 40-second kind of promo of what is PechaKucha, and Rolf is on there. We've got Rolf Kielman going to be speaking about birdhouses. So come on up.
Can't keep it. You have to sort of pass it around. God, that's great. I'm tall. My name's Rolf. Yes. I like that. So I'm talking about birds. And just find couples and their houses. And I spent a lot of time recently making houses for birds. You hear me all right? This thing keeps falling down. I was riding my bike in South Hero a while back, and there's a wonderful parade of, I didn't know it, I thought I saw this smattering of color on the edge of the meadow, and it was birdhouses. I went to look a little closer, and
Wow.
you know, very simple little structures. I would have made them much more complicated and have, but bright and wonderful colors, and it got us to thinking that, yeah, we were working with the King Street Center at that time, and did a little fundraiser, and decided that we're architects, so we made about 45 birdhouses, and we sold them. We sold them for a lot of money. We really thought about changing our gig, but. And I passed one of these models around. I do a lot of architectural model making, so the progression to birdhouses was a natural thing. That one was somewhat ecclesiastical, you know, Nordic, sort of reminiscent of stave churches. You can imagine in this particular situation that the priest or minister comes out and greets a whole horde of parishioners. That's really why the perch is somewhat enlarged. We address all sorts of social issues, even in birdland, and this is, you know, there's a housing shortage, as you've all heard about. It's a dismal situation, and birds suffer from the same affliction. You know, when you get mass housing like this, it's hard to identify your own front door. You might have noticed that there's a hierarchy there from red to yellow on the lower right corner, so you can identify. I don't think actually birds can see color, but so then I got a great gig at the Vermont Studio School up in Johnson. They allowed me to come there more or less for free and make birdhouses in their wonderful wood shop for an entire week. That's what that collage of birdhouses was. I love this one. You know, it takes flight. That red orange is sort of reminiscent of many of the birds we observe. I really got into production mode after a while. I have a 10 by 15 foot shop in my basement. It's cluttered with all sorts of stuff, but nonetheless, I started to produce houses in more numbers. I started to find out that the bird houses were influencing my architectural directions. I built a small garden shed for my wife. It actually has a copper butterfly on the top, but it really drew from my birdhouse experience. You know, surprising your sources and where they come from. I really got full of myself. And all the way from California, I got a brand that said Rolf Kielman, Birdhouse Architect. I think my partners at a firm I work with, they thought I was having some sort of, you know, near-death experience. You know, I was born in the Netherlands, and I've always been enchanted by windmills and the color orange. You know, it's the national color, like William of Orange. So I got onto this sort of curved side birdhouse. I got a little distracted these take a long time to make, and I sell them for lots of money, usually for charitable causes. And then, I put a small little LED light in the base.
Oh my God.
I'm not very good at electronics, but somehow this seemed magical, and it's kind of a night light for several of my grandchildren and other kids in this area. So at one time I started to think, well, most of these birdhouses are placed in rural areas. We need to integrate birds with our towns, villages, and cities. So on a Thursday night, I built about 20 birdhouses. A clandestine situation. It was dark. On the rooftop of my car, I had a cohort, I must confess. I won't name him. We screwed birdhouses to all the telephone or power poles down Pine Street during yard. And that happened on a Thursday night. I'm getting behind now. And by Tuesday morning, I got a call from Burlington Electric saying, we have 24 of your birdhouses. They were very generous, very kind. But, the research and development arm of the Birdhouse company, that's what all the sketches were about. So now we're transitioning to something a little new. I've got a great friend who is a fabulous wood turner, Tom Tintle. And last year, we really started to produce these. I love these little fellows. They have a sort of wonderful anthropomorphic quality to them. And now we're working, you probably don't know this, Fran, but we're working with Burlington City Arts on an art emplacement. And birdhouses are going to populate the entire site on Pine Street, much like, and I think they're going to be more receptive than Burlington Electric. And if you can imagine birdhouses on 8, 10, 12-foot poles, sort of randomly scattered on the Pine Street environment, curling around the building and ultimately making their way down to the much less appetizing environment of the barge canal. So now we've added another dimension. I have another friend from Pine Street. People call this Popo Chicho. Who was the other guy on Saturday Night Live?
Mr. Bill.
Father Guido Sakaguchi. Anyway, John Marius makes these wonderful copper hats for me, and they fit perfectly on the top. And these are going to populate all of Pine Street and other places. So we wish. Okay, thank you.